This is my Southern Pacific Proto 2000 GP9, and while it's a great engine, it's time for an upgrade. So, I bought not just one, but two Athearn Genesis Union Pacific GP9s. My all-in cost for this pair was about $600. There was a lot that went into it, which I'll get into later, but to start, I'll give a little brief history of Union Pacific and their GP9s. Prior to the existence of the GP9, Union Pacific had a whole bunch of GP7s, which they did really like and wanted to order more B units of those, so they placed another order for GP7s in, I believe, 1953, and they wanted some to be cabless, some to be cabbed units like these guys. And EMD said that they were essentially going under a model change and they'd be delivered as GP9s, and they were going to be numbered from Union Pacific 130 to 244. So these are pretty early units in the model sequence. And then Union Pacific additionally ordered more of these. They did have B units. I did not decide to get a B unit, but they did make B units for these guys to go with. And then 205 to 244, which are outside the range of the numbers I have here, were ordered without dynamic brakes because they were going to be used for more Eastern services. At least that's what I found. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong about that. While these are brand new models, I already did a whole bunch of work to these guys. As I mentioned, I paid $600 for the whole set, but the locomotives themselves were a lot cheaper than that. I got them for $167 each DCC ready, but what I did is I bought scale sound system speakers and Loksound 5 decoders and installed those in these guys. A friend of mine helped me get a good sound file in both these guys, and they do sound really good. The only adjustment I really had to make is I had to turn down the prime mover because the tone of the prime mover and the horn are very similar, and you couldn't hear the horn over the engine itself. So I made some adjustments and it sounds a lot better now, although a little bit quieter. To install the speakers, I did have to take out a little bit of the model. These are weights that were over the rear truck, kind of about where this rear vent is right here. So this does have a little bit of an impact on the pulling power of these things. I'll get more into that in the future, but I did have to remove these just to get enough room to put the speaker in. It does mount directly to the screw holes where this screwed into, so it was a really easy install at least. Now let me show you some of the key details about these models that I do really like. For one, I do like the GP9 font that's up on the front of this thing. I'm pretty sure the real GP9s had this, and it looks pretty cool. The other thing is these windows do move. I'll talk about that later, but that's kind of a neat feature. You got windshield wipers. You've got just about every detail you could ask for. Just about everything on this model looks really good. The headlight cover actually looks really nice. The lighting varies a little bit between the models, but I don't really care that much. It looks really good to me. But overall, I don't really have many complaints about the details of this thing. These both look like really nice models. I brought both of these models together just to show that there are some detailed differences between both these models, which is really cool. They have some unit-specific details. I would at least assume they're unit-specific and that Athearn didn't screw up or something. So I'll just show you some of these. First of which has to do with the numbering, not the number boards, but the numbering underneath the number boards. So on 165, on this side right here, you can see it's got 165 printed below the number board in just a smaller font size. Then on the other side of the nose, it's got UP written under the other number board. And then on 149, on this side, there's absolutely nothing. And on the other side, underneath the number board, you have 149, but in a much larger font than it had on 165 on the other unit. Another little difference I noticed is whatever this is on top of the cab. On this model, it's got this like antenna thing that sticks up for 149. I don't know what exactly it is or what its purpose is. Then on 165, it's got a little different nub that has like a slightly different base, but doesn't stick up off the model. I don't know what these do, and I have no clue why they're different. If someone does know, please do let me know. And then still on the topic of the roof, something else really small I noticed is that on both of these models, the base of the beacon is actually just slightly different. On this one, 149, it's much more rounded and just feels smooth. However, on 165, it's got like little ridges and things in there. So I don't know why this would be different. The shape of the beacon itself is actually slightly different between the models. It's just something interesting to note. I don't know why exactly they are different. I don't know why Union Pacific would have these details be different, but it's something kind of cool. Now, while these models are really nice, both of them did have some relatively large issues that I have had to deal with. The first of which came with 149. When I got the thing, the light for the beacon was out of place, so the beacon would not light up. A light would go on inside the shell itself, and you could see it when the shell was removed, but obviously that isn't very useful. So a friend of mine, I had asked to fix it, and he was able to fix it for me. So now the beacon on this thing works. On the other side of the model, this handrail was broken, so I just had to glue it down here with some canopy glue. It's not perfect, but it looks good enough for me. And then also when I was working on this thing, this little MU hose part right here fell off and was very annoying to reinstall. And then this guy also came off when I was replacing the couplers, which again was difficult to reinstall. And on the topic of couplers, and this is not exclusive to these specific GP9s, I really do not like Athearn's McHenry couplers. I don't think they hold up very well, and personally I like Katie's, and even though they're most realistic looking, I like the way they look a lot better than the McHenry's. So on all of my models, I replace them with Katie's. The McHenry ones probably hold up okay if you're running shorter trains, but when I'm running longer trains with these guys, I don't trust them. Now we're on to 165, which has an issue of its own. I talked earlier about how these models have opening windows, and that has been a really big problem with this unit. On this side of the cab, this window is stuck, and this one is free to move around and go completely out of place. And then on this side, the windows had actually fallen out. So what I did is I put a little piece of clear plastic styrene in there, and I think that works really well. At first it had really bugged me, but I think I'm going to leave this side alone because it actually doesn't look that bad. I don't feel like taking it out and making another piece, and it feels like it's going to hold up just fine. When I made it, it really annoyed me, and I thought it would just be terrible and, like, I don't know, weaken my thoughts about these things, but it really hasn't. I really just need to canopy glue all of these windows shut, and then hopefully that'll solve my issue. I don't really like having openable windows. If they can just be closed, that would be preferable because it's nice, but they move around and you can't really keep them in one place, especially if you're trying to transport these to like a club and back. So while this proto unit is a great model, these new Genesis ones are a huge improvement, which is part of why I'm replacing this thing. For the most part, this thing has been a great model. It's been kind of the workhorse of my fleet. It's done just about everything. It's pulled my wine train a few times, it's pulled freight trains, commute sets, just about anything that I've owned, it's probably pulled. It's also one of my most reliable and complete DCC locomotives, so that's part of why it gets all that much use. But that's kind of why I bought these things. I wanted to just have a nice pair of new locomotives that would be done and completely ready to go. I can use them with just about whatever. They'll work on long freights, locals, whatever. They'll be really broadly used locomotives, and they will now serve the purpose of being the workhorse of my fleet, so the GP9, the old proto one here, can just relax a little bit more. These are great models, so now it's time to go run them. So overall, I am really happy with these two. Sure, they cost quite a bit. Sure, I could still use my old Proto model, but they are nice. They do exactly what I need them to do, and a lot of people seem to really like them. So if you've got any suggestions of what I should do with these guys, if I need to weather them, if I actually should go all out replacing the window on 165, or any other thoughts, let me know.